Good morning, Diana. This morning I want to address an issue that some people like to parrot about, and that is the structure of our employment, the growth of our employment, and the reduction in unemployment. And I want to do this by examining the facts because we can be easily misled as to the structure of our growth and the way in which our labor market is responding to that growth. A few days ago, I spoke to you about the growth in our investment portfolio and the diversification of our economy. Today, I'm going to show you factually how the labor market is directly related to the diversification that is taking place in our economy. Now, let us look at the recent labor force bulletin issued by the Bureau of Statistics, which showed that unemployment has reduced significantly. If you look at the period 2020 to 2024, unemployment fell from 12.8% to 6.8% in the fourth quarter of 2024. 12.8% to 6.8%. And that unemployment of 6.8% that fell from 12.8% in 2020 is by itself a number that needs to be analyzed because there are a lot of people in that 6.8% who would not accept a construction job, who will not accept a job as an operator, who would not accept a job outside of what they are seeking. So that number itself can be further examined. So first of all, the fact. What is a fact? The fact is our unemployment reduced by more than 50% between 2020 and 2024. Now, what is also important is a reduction of our female unemployment rate. Our female unemployment rate reduced from 14.4% to less than 9%. Again, these are the facts as supported in the recent statistical bulletin of the Bureau of Statistics. Unemployment rates are also fairly balanced across regions. So it is not to say that the jobs are only created in urban centers. When you look at the distribution of jobs and the analytics behind unemployment rates, you will see that it is evenly distributed in rural and urban centers, which speak to the fact that government growth and private sector growth is following the development agenda of the country that is driven by infrastructure, that is driven by policies to push agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, agro-processing. So there is a correlation between the policies, employment, growth, development, and investment. But we hear a lot of persons parroting a narrative that is far from the reality, but a narrative that is only politically opportunistic for their own purpose. Now, let us look at the total number of persons employed from 2020, the first quarter, to the fourth quarter of 2024. Between that period alone, we have more than 104,000 persons, new persons employed. So persons employed moved from 264,000 to almost 370,000 in the last quarter of 2024. That is more persons in the labor force because there are more jobs available, because the economy is growing. Now let us go further to look at men, women, rural, urban. As I said, women has improved, rural to urban is the same. So these trends, of course, suggest the following important things. The steady improvement in the unemployment rate reflects stronger absorption. The reduction in youth unemployment signals better integration of young workers into the labor force. Unlike the past, unemployment rates are now almost the same across rural and urban areas, which speak to the equity of our development, the balanced nature of our development and development across all segments of our economy. The average earnings across the major sector also grew exponentially between the first quarter of 2020 and the fourth quarter of 2024. So it's not just that employment has improved. The average earnings across every sector has also improved drastically. And this is not only the oil sector. The parrots are only thinking and seeing oil and gas. But what is the reality? Let us look at the highest growth rate in earnings across our economy. First, the highest growth rate or earnings occurred in agriculture, forestry and fishing, an 84% increase in earnings in agriculture, forestry and fishing, followed by mining and quarrying at 59%, manufacturing at 57%, electricity, gas, and steam at 61%, construction at 71%, wholesale and retail trade at 69%, transportation and storage at 62%, information and communication at 88%, professional, scientific, and technical services over 100%, health and social work 63%, art, entertainment, and recreation over 114%, and other services 112%. Look at the distribution of the growth rate in earnings. It follows the distribution also of the economy, the diversification of the economy, and the structure of our employment over the last 4 years. There is no other economy that is more diversified. There is no other structural growth in employment and earning like we have in Guyana. These are the facts. Most sectors saw growth in average earnings ranging between 50% and 100%, reflecting rising wages amidst Guyana's economic expansion. And the rising wages was not followed by the type of inflation that we see around the world. We still manage to maintain the lowest inflation rate. That is because our policies and our priorities are bringing forth the type of results that we want to see. And then let us look out now at the way in which the economy is structured. And you will see that there are a number of areas where the new jobs are distributed. Agriculture, forestry and fishing, mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electricity, gas, steam, and air conditioning, water supply, construction, wholesale retail trade, transportation and storage, accommodation and food service activities, information and communication, financial and insurance activities, real estate activities, professional, scientific, and technical activities, administrative and support service activities, public administration and defense, education, human health and social work activities, arts, entertainment and recreation, other services activities. These are the areas in which we see that structural change in our employment profile and earning profile. When you look at the IOM study, and this is an international study, what they speak of, they don't speak about unemployment. They speak about current labor shortages in Guyana. A labor assessment conducted by the Center for Local Business Development in Guyana shows that we are short of 52,396 workers, whilst the International Organization on Migration states that if Guyana were to harness all of its unemployment and discouraged workers, the potential labor would be only 63,000 in the medium term. It goes on to state that Guyana will need approximately 160,000 workers, and concludes that Guyana will need a minimum of 100,000 workers to realize the growth agenda that this government is pursuing. They speak about an agenda, about a policy framework. They speak about the structure of an economy that is in need of labor, that is in need of workers. These parrots don't read. All they do is parroting. They don't read. They don't analyze reports. They don't look at the facts. They don't look at statistics because it does not suit their agenda. Their agenda is a simplistic agenda, devoid of facts, devoid of the reality, devoid of an analysis, and frankly speaking, maybe incapable of making the analysis that is glaring in every single report. The report, the IOM studies, also pointed to indirect and induced demand, which will create job opportunities in construction, hospitality and tourism, commerce and specialized services, agriculture and food systems, health and social services, and green technology and climate resilience. That is what the international study is telling us. That the areas in which the government is promoting investment and the private sector is gripping in, that these are the areas of growth and development. This is not a story about oil and gas. This is a story about a country on the rise with a diversified economic system that is building jobs, creating wealth, enhancing prosperity, and delivering for the Guyanese people. So my dear brothers and sisters, my friends, fellow Guyanese, don't let the parrots sing their negativity. Like the Kiskadi, wake up this morning with a beautiful song of prosperity in a country that is rising and rising at a rapid pace. God bless all of you and have a fantastic day ahead.